Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Skiiwalker the Jedi back at y'all with another one. We are here with another edition of Sit Down with Skiiwalker, or The Sit Down with Skiiwalker. And we got the homies, the one, the only HMDS, Hold My DualShock, the one and only Andy, Katie, and I don't know if Peter is in the background or not,
No.
but we got the homies over here rocking out, and we about to have a dope conversation. I'm so happy to have you guys over here. First and foremost, thank you for coming to the platform. And how are you guys feeling today?
Feeling good. Thanks for having us.
Great. Well, especially after that intro, I feel like I should have gotten like the clapping soundtrack. Like,
You didn't even
Right.
wave to them know that
I
you're
know.
Katie.
I know. Well, clearly I'm Katie.
Right.
Peter's irrelevant, so it
let's
doesn't
not
matter.
make weird assumptions.
Yeah. Don't worry about Peter.
Yeah.
Peter
Yeah.
will keep in a cave.
Yeah, right. Tied up, editing videos, right? If you guys don't know, we have been collaborating a lot recently. We actually got linked up through, I think it was South Cali guy, right?
It was
like, yo, yeah, you guys should do something. And I was like, yo, I checked out you guys' platform and y'all were dope, man. And I was like, yo, I'm really digging the whole vibe and what they're goals are, and just talking about films and stuff that they love. And it was just kind of dope. And things just kind of hit off naturally from there. You guys want to talk about first us linking up through this South Cali guy and how that kind of worked out?
Yeah, of course. You wanna do the honors?
Yeah, we were in an isolation desert, on an island out there, and you were the first person that we ever talked to on YouTube, our first YouTube friend. Before that, it was just us, lonely, not talking to any other creators, just keeping our heads down. And then South Cali guy's like, hey, you should talk to Skiiwalker the Jedi, and we're like, don't know if we're ready to be talking to people. And we had a whole sit down interview that was awesome. Got to know you. That was a lot of fun. And ever since then, the bestest of friends, fast friends, Also,
what are you talking about? We're part of the Syndicate Network.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Nah, man, it really did hit off so naturally, and it's been dope rocking out with you guys, and just being able to have these fresh discussions and have you guys' perspectives, and sometimes they differ from ours, but the conversations are always great, and that's what makes for this just whole discourse and the way that we kind of conduct ourselves over here. So you guys want to kind of talk about just what kind of brought you to YouTube in the first place?
So the beginning of this illustrious channel started probably a little bit weird, because initially it wasn't even supposed to be like about movies and shows. It was supposed to be about video games, and Peter was doing the video games, but Peter
Hence the name Hold My DualShock, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to. There was this vision that we would play video games and talk about our favorite movies and shows, and it turns out Peter is terrible.
So
some people can talk and play, some people get lost, and it was like an hour of him vaping
and getting lost.
And sitting there playing, he was like playing Hogwarts Legacy. He was like, shit, you see that? And then 20 minutes of silence. It was terrible. and I'd be sitting there, it's like,
I did not know that.
Yeah, you gotta talk more. Like nobody wants to hear you vape.
And then
definitely not Andy.
The Matrix.
Yeah,
Matrix 4 came out, and that sparked like this whole discourse, like long, in-depth conversation that we had. And we're like, dude, that's our calling. Let's talk about movies and shows. Like, let's do that instead.
Yeah.
So that's how we pivoted and made this bad boy. So
That's dope, man. You guys just have a whole like dope little vibe that you've cultivated. Andy, wait, I'm not sure if it's both you guys, but you're from South Africa, right, Andy? And
I am. Yeah, the pale ones for South Africa.
Right? So you want to talk about kind of what that's been like coming over to this country, doing YouTube and stuff like that, and just kind of getting engrossed in our culture, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm a decade behind because there's just things that when we weren't living in America, I missed out on, like culturally. We went from, and so in South Africa, like you have barely any internet. Like we don't have like data plans. You still up until very recently, like people when I left, people were using Blackberries to send messages because you're like, bro, you can get like unlimited text. Like we still had to like go get like SIM cards for our text messages. Like it was not.
Were the
So the
minutes
dark-
free after 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
I wish. We still have rolling blackouts. Like every Sunday, we would have no power because of load shedding. And so coming to America is a big culture change because like everything's convenient. A little bit less convenient since 2020, if you know what I'm talking about. But like coming to America and having like 24-hour stores, never had any of those. Everywhere we'd ever lived had like things shut at like 9 or 10. And then the internet was something we used mostly for school. And like me and my friends would get on YouTube to watch like John LaHoy videos, like the comedian, like random like stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
And then when we moved to America, like America's just like way ahead. People here were using like building like channels on YouTube. And so,
This
yeah.
crazy thing channels. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you can use it for more than just like posting up random like cat videos and funny things you saw. So yeah, kind of came from like the dark ages. And then now it's like this whole thing. It's like, I think YouTube's more interesting than regular TV. Like,
I think the most
I
impact
agree.
of like South Africa on our channel is that like politics doesn't play, like it's completely different.
oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's more so I feel like he gets more irritated when our channel gets put into like these weird boxes of like leftists or rightists. And he's like, dude, I don't even care about y'all's politics. He's like, I just want to talk about movies and shows. It has nothing to do with politics, and it shouldn't have anything to do with politics because that's not what makes stuff entertaining.
Yeah, that's like the biggest, I think, culture shock is how much politics there is in everything in America when it comes to even entertainment. That's not something we really have in South Africa. Like there's politics, but it doesn't it just hasn't seeped into every conversation everywhere.
I see. Yeah, I can definitely see how that could be a culture shock. Even in a lot of the movies that we favor over here in the Syndicate Network, like BVS, every act is a political act, right? He literally said that. But yeah, you want to talk about how you think how you guys think that influences, like, especially you, Andy, your vision on like film and things like that, versus let's say in a more American perspective, so to speak.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I think it means that there's like nothing I'm not willing to give a chance to. Whereas, I mean, you see it every time a new show comes out. There's articles here being like, oh, it's like a right wing thing or it's a left wing thing. And I don't really care. Like, I don't care. Like, if a story's good, I'll watch it. Like, we talked about a lot on your channel, like Sense8. Like, that's a show that's like crazy. The Wachowskis made like a crazy show. It's got like every checkbox you can put into a film or a show, but it's like still it's like sci-fi, so I enjoyed it. And so like I don't really feel that there's like a need to like curtail your viewing habits to fit into like a political box or whatever. But at the same time, it's like also kind of hard not to be keenly aware when things are being made purely for political reasons,
Absolutely.
So it's like on one hand, you're like, hey, if it's art, it's art. And like I can get behind any story as long as it's compelling. But then also like a lot of stories are not compelling and it's just about like messaging.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh man. Yo, Katie, I've noticed that you've always brought like a lot of energy to these conversations. What is it that you think is kind of like most fun for you about having these conversations in like this public forum or like on the internet, right?
Hating.
I'll say this might shock you, but I like arguing with people.
You think? No, I'm just joking.
But no, in all honesty, I love movies. Like movies has always been like my type of thing. Just like growing up, I was really into just like collecting movies. Like I have a ton of DVDs. I continue to buy DVDs, even though it's probably not like the cool thing to do because most people don't have physical media anymore.
Yeah, it's a weird flex.
But no, it's just like I like talking about movies, entertainment, like seeing the way stories are created, having conversations about what people liked, disliked, connecting with people on a personal level of like characters, like being able to connect with someone about a specific type of movie, even a quote unquote shitty movie. Like I know a lot of people don't like Fast and the Furious movies. I really like shitty action movies. So it's like having conversations with people like that is like cool for me. I love like connecting with people that way, especially because it really tells you about a person if they can like actually delve deep into like what they actually like and dislike about a movie. Because if you can't explain it, I feel like you're less of a person.
Yeah, I feel it. You're definitely not as adept at having certain conversations if that's the case, right? But
Yeah.
yo, how do you guys think that like your, let's say like your childhoods, right? How do you think that guys, how that shaped you guys' views on film and things like that?
So for me, it definitely shaped me as a person because like going to the movies was something we did. Like that was a treat. Like it was something I did with my mom and my sisters. Like it was a special event. So like going to the movies now is something I like really care about.
Mhm.
And so like I don't want to watch all movies at home. Like I enjoy going to the theater. Like the process of going to the theater, getting popcorn. I'm one of those weird people who like I love seeing the trailers. So like I don't want to get there late. Like if we're late, I'm actually upset. Like I want to be there early to actually watch the trailers before the movie starts.
Mhm.
And so like that's always going to be something like I really enjoy. I think that's fun.
And what about you, Andy?
Yeah, for me, like movies were always something that was kind of like a landmark thing we did. Like big films that were kind of important. Like, you have films that are important to your family, whether it's like Star Wars, things that were kind of passed down. We would watch them. And I remember like our mom would pull us out of school to go see, like when, Phantom Menace came out, it was like, oh, we got to skip school for it. It was like a big deal. Or when the first Harry Potter came out, we got pulled out of school to go see it on like a Friday. And then when we were like teenagers, that's what we did all the time. Like, and in South Africa, we would just go hang out at the mall because that's where the movie theater was. And we would see everything. It was like, I mean, I remember seeing with a bunch of my like grown dude friends, we saw Tangled. The
The Rapunzel.
It was like one of the few Disney films we saw. It was just like, it was the only thing in theaters. And we've been out like hanging out and like getting food. And we're like, hey, we want to go see a movie. It's like, well, we're gonna go see a movie. Had a delightful time. It was a very good film.
Right. I definitely can relate to that one movie playing at the theater because I was definitely having to deal with that when I was in the military. So
Yeah.
Growing up, what were some of you guys' like favorite creators, right? Be it film or video games, music, just what have you. I'll start with Katie.
So, gonna be honest. Growing up, I didn't pay attention to who the creators were. I got more into like Mission Impossible was like my thing. So like Tom Cruise, love him. So like he was like my childhood crush. I'm like, and so watching like Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, like I would do that on like repeat
until she outgrew him at 12.
Yeah.
Right. Physically outgrew him. like it wasn't just a phase, guys. It was like she literally outgrew him. But no. What about you, Andy?
Oh man. We like grew up, like I hated reading when I was a kid. I didn't want to read. And my dad, he's British. So he had all these old Asterix and Obelix comics and Tintin comics, like the actual like big books of them. And he had like, just like all of them that they had from when they were kids. And so that's what we got Peter and I into reading, was we'd have to go to bed. And so we'd stay up and read that. And then from there, we went and got into like comics. As a family, we would read books together. So we read like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, and then Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars was always like something I was hugely into. And then even things that I wasn't massively into, like my dad was big into like Star Trek and Doctor Who. So it was always just around. And so kind of collectively, just all the kind of stuff you would call like geeky was just always around. And so we just kind of fell in love with all of it.
It's like a cultural foundation.
Yeah. And then just we would always talk about it. Like we would watch something and we would discuss it. So it was like, even if the episode was only 30 minutes or an hour, we talk about it like after the fact. So that's just always kind of been foundational to like how my family enjoyed entertainment.
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of came up similarly. I used to go to the movie theaters with my father a whole lot, man. We used to, all the time. And it's funny because to this day, I still have like a love for popcorn. And the way I eat popcorn is like ridiculous, right? But yeah, it stems from always being in the theater and loving that experience, right? And kind of equating that with being with my dad and being out and having a good time, and you know, is that sort of thing. Um, who would you say has continued to inspire you guys, right, in what you do now? In turn, and it could be anybody, but who would you say? And I'll start with Katie again because she didn't know who the creators were back in the day, right?
And I wasn't literally looking at that at all. I feel like that's more of like when you grow older, you actually start paying attention who like the directors are.
Oh, absolutely.
And like seeing that there's actually like similarities and like people actually have styles. Before I'm just like
I didn't know how important the director was. I had no idea. And then I was like, because I used to think that it was like all on the actor, and I was like, oh my God, no, I was pretty wrong. Like I think that the director is pretty massively fucking him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like, but you never realized like how in depth that like what that means until you get older.
Yeah.
But yeah. Inspired. I don't even know. Like the channel or us to like want to continue having these conversations and like
just continuing to have these conversations, right? Yeah. And just what you guys do. Katie didn't have any inspiration either. Andy.
I don't even know who would say inspires us, because like in all honesty, like what we do is like my mother doesn't understand what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
to be fair, we don't understand what
we're doing. Like, even the concept of like making videos, she doesn't understand. Like she'll watch my videos and to like support the channel and stuff like, but like she doesn't understand like the process of like live streams, like having conversations with people on like this level of like interaction and creating relationships with people and actually connecting to like people you've never met to actually have in-depth like conversations about stuff we're interested in.
Yeah.
It just doesn't resonate on any type of level. And so it's just like what we're doing is just like such an odd concept to a lot of people. But yeah, it's just, I don't know.
You don't got any directors or musicians that inspire you?
Musicians, no.
Nobody. She said nobody inspires.
Not nobody.
He's about to be like ridiculous. Like, I inspire myself. Like some like
no
Michael Jordan-esque statement. Yeah, my hero is me in 5 years.
Bullish.
Like bullshit.
Yeah. No, I would say for like editing purposes, because if y'all weren't aware, we do everything in house. So like I edit our videos and make the thumbnails and all that stuff, which is not a skill set I came into this with. Like I learned that the way as we went along. And not to toot my own horn, but I think I do a pretty good job of editing our videos. But no, I think I've like taken stuff from like and inspirations from like Nerdrotic is whoever edits his videos, amazing. Stuff from like I think Disparu, like
Rocket Power Mohawk. You're always
like Rocket Power Mohawk, which probably people don't even know who I'm talking about. He makes F1 videos. Like, so those types of people have inspired me for like the way we do things. And like,
You sound like a pleb.
I know. I know.
Guys, waiting for some interesting
in-depth, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just bail you out. A lot of things. So for me, and this is gonna sound pretentious, but anything that inspires an authentic emotion, I find really, really compelling.
There you go.
And so whether it's music or you should be like, what is it? And that's the difference between that's the duality.
If you weren't aware,
of the
Andy and I are
freaking-
completely different
that's
people.
the duality of the
Absolutely.
channel. Katie's
Yeah.
like more explosions, and I'm like,
Yeah.
but what do we feel when there's and that's the thing. The whole channel is like her trying to make it the Fast and the Furious, and I'm like,
Bro, yes.
but directed by Wes Anderson.
But
and
didn't
it's
I?
like,
That,
yeah.
Andy's introduced me to some movies that like I would never have watched, like
Yeah.
The Fountain, and I'm like, because before I'm like, I don't want to watch movies that are gonna make me like break down and like feel real emotion of like actually be devastated when you finish the movie.
Yeah.
So
I think that the most interesting thing, and I'm like one of those people who I've gotten in fights with my friends, I legitimately think things like storytelling are more important than mathematics, which angers a lot of people. But I think traditions, myth, all those things are the things that we look back at. And whether it's like Greek mythology or something that's being written right now, like comic books, I don't really see a difference. I just see the desire to make people like emote. And I think that that's really, really cool. And so anything that does that well. And so anybody who's able to create like a new emotion in me, I take inspiration from. So like the first time I saw I Think You Should Leave, that's like the most ridiculous sketch comedy show I've ever seen. And the whole time I'm like, dude, what is this dude doing? Just the bewilderment and the like that sense of humor. So, that inspires me to take risks, whether it's imagery, like some directors that I know like you like, whether it's, a scene from, BVS, when Superman's coming down and he's saving the people on the roof. Like I think that scene is a beautiful scene. It elicits an enormous amount of emotion. So it's just anything that just resonates and makes me think more deeply, I find really, really compelling. But then we usually try and turn that into like a joke or something.
Pretty much.
Yeah. No, if I could sum you guys' channel up in like a vibe, I would say it's like Scavenger's Reign. You know what I'm saying? nah. That was actually a super dope show that Andy recommended that we check out for cartoons and cereal. And it was dope, man. It was, he said it was out there and weird, and we went into that show knowing that, but it was amazing. I thought it was very gripping, and it definitely elicited a lot of emotions, Andy. I will say that.
Yeah.
Now, what those emotions were is a different story.
But that's the perfect example. Think about it, like in Scavenger's Reign, for example. To everybody, the life cycle of the flower scene will mean something almost completely different. But when you get to talk to people that you want to converse with about what it means to them, that's where I'm really, really interested. Because, if something's art, I think you should be able to talk about it long after the fact. And that's kind of why we do this, because we want to talk about things. And it's why it's so easy to sort things out between, is it worthwhile or is it not? Because so much stuff that's being made doesn't have any lasting impression. You see it and you forget it exists. You're locked in just long enough for it to finish the runtime. Whereas other things, you're like, you genuinely have to kind of reconcile what did it mean to you. And that's where I think is like the most interesting thing about like YouTube is being able to do that with other creators who have completely different, pasts and outlooks on stuff. Because you see things that you never would have saw. And in that way, the story just keeps gathering meaning and like a snowball, until you kind of forget what it meant to you in the first place. And it becomes like this amalgamation of many people's experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Do you guys think that now that you guys are content creators that you feel a lot of the different same pressures that a lot of, like, let's say, not that they're the same per se, but even just like filmmakers or just people that are in the entertainment industry, period, right? Because it's kind of like you're running your own little TV station,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Can you guys kind of talk about what that's like?
Stressful. um, no, so there's like a balance. So we love doing this. It's enjoyable for us because we're able to have conversations with people that we would never be able to have. The people that live where we live don't want to have those types of conversations with us,
Yeah.
let alone delve deeper into the meaning behind
That's why
stuff.
I came to the internet too, because all my friends were sick of me talking about Zack Snyder, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Yo,
So yeah,
I have to talk about this shit." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
100%. So it's like we love doing this, and then on the opposite side, it's like, but there's a pressure. Like we want it to be good. I want it to be entertaining. I don't want you to
yes,
come watch our
absolutely,
channel and be
Yeah, you don't
bored.
want to make people. You don't want to feel like you're wasting people's time.
Yeah.
absolutely,
You know,
right?
you don't want to
Yeah.
feel like you're being self-indulgent, but then it's like I think some people just have the desire to share what they're thinking and feeling. Some people don't feel any pressure to be
Good.
well. It's not good. It's just we've all had a friend who's willing to talk ad nauseum about how they feel, right?
Yeah.
I think like
Absolutely.
the balance of that is you want to talk to your friend, but you also want to know how they're feeling. But because of the one-sidedness of YouTube, like how do you make sure that you're allowing the people that are taking time to watch the video to feel like they're part of it, you know? And I think some people feel
Mhm.
that. I think some people don't. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just know that like when we're making stuff, there is like a pressure, or not a pressure, pressure is the wrong word. There's just a desire to make sure that we're simultaneously just showing the thing that we think is fun and we're having a good time. Um,
As well as making sure they're having a good time. So
yeah,
like
like
there's an
enough. Yeah,
expectation of like, are we prepared enough? Are we making sure we're doing the best job possible? Are we being clear enough with what we're trying to convey? Because a lot of times things that are said can be misconstrued. And then also like not wanting to like wanting to express your opinion without attacking people personally. It's a balance.
yeah,
And
Mhm.
so it's like trying to work through not coming like because we want to create a space where anyone can hang out with us.
yeah,
Because I don't want an echo chamber. I don't want someone who's going to sit there and be like they agree with everything I'm saying, or they're just there to be like a woo-woo girl. But like I do want to have actual in-depth conversations about things I like. And if
yeah.
you don't like it, I want you to then explain why you don't like it or why you saw it a different way. And so like we don't want to turn people off, but we also don't want
Yeah.
to create an environment that
That's the pressure is to
yeah.
we want to say what we want to say. We want to make the funny things that we want to make, but we also want people to feel free to also have fun and make jokes with us, where it doesn't just become people like regurgitating the same stuff, you know,
Yeah.
because we actually like hearing other opinions.
So
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, you know what? And I think that these parts of this conversation will be good for people that are thinking about getting into content creation or people that may be new into it, right? Because these things are a reality, right? And you do have to kind of navigate those waters and try to be entertaining, right? And sometimes uh it can be a bit stressful, you know what I'm saying? Or just hey, like you may feel like you're not really sure whether or not the direction that you may be going in might be the right one, but then you always just got to trust your gut, right? And just kind of go with your instinct
Yeah.
and let that be your guide. Um man, how do you guys make sure that you're continuing to like uh bring something new to the platform and stuff like that? Like, what does that process look like for you guys?
Mm. I appreciate that. There's the insinuation that we do continue to bring something new.
oh my
Because
gosh.
honestly, a lot of
I've
the
been
time,
seeing a lot of different stuff coming from y'all channel, like 100%.
I think it's 100% just the fighting between the three of us.
Well, I'll say in all honesty, we're set up in a way where it consistently is going to be different than other people to begin with because we're consistently giving our opinions on what's going on. So we're bringing people information as well as our opinion and interpretation of what does this mean.
Yeah.
And so because we're clearly very, very different people, they're going to get different versions of that because Andy and I don't have the same points on
At all,
topics.
yeah.
And so there's that, as well as we try and spin stuff so that's funny. Like we clearly are trying to make jokes, even though some people might not like our jokes. But
well, and I think like boredom, like we do this because, you know, kind of that balance. It's like every time we get on camera, it's like, are we making something that we think is fun or funny or interesting? And so if the answer is no, like we wouldn't put something out.
Yeah, we don't do it.
But between the three of us, there's almost always something that we find interesting. But then there's also a lot of like tumultuousness because we're always kind of fighting for
dominance, bro.
Yeah, dominance. Yeah,
we're
trying to like push in different
whose opinion's
directions.
right.
Right.
Like,
and so different days is almost like I guess there's like a healthy rivalry to try and like
come out on top, bro.
Yeah,
that's why we have predictions. We'll talk about stuff. It's clearly why people probably will pick sides because we're stating what we think is going to happen. Like as even with like movies, like predictions of how successful they'll be, why they won't be successful. I think also our channel is a little bit different because we delve deeper than surface level. So like we're
allegedly.
So we continuously try and go into like predictions, hypothesis of like what's really going on behind the scenes. What does this actually mean? Rather than just stating, oh, this happened and explaining to people what that is. That's kind of like, that's boring. If people wanted that, they could just read the article themselves or watch someone else's channel.
As far as the content, I think the reason we do a lot of different stuff is because I think a lot of it is like foolishness, not knowing enough of the rules. When we first started doing YouTube, we kind of, I guess, treated it like you were inviting yourself into someone's home. And so we're like, man, we better be polite, like not polite. We better, you know, do enough to get invited back, if that makes sense. You know, like not wanting to be an imposition.
Yeah.
But then while we're doing stuff like with each other, we all have different ideas of like what would be cool. And then we kind of look at each other and say, like, there's no reason that we can think of that we can't do that. And because we're not worried that if like people don't watch it, because we're doing it primarily because we think it'd be funny, we'll do stuff like our most recent thing, the Everything Good and Always Perfect podcast, all night. We're like, wouldn't it be funny if?
And the whole thing is just foolery. Like none of it's really to like convey information. It's more so just to be entertaining,
to kind of make fun of the whole late night talk show thing.
Yeah.
And there's just nobody telling us you shouldn't do that. There's like no words of wisdom, no adults being like, hey, you shouldn't do that.
You can't.
That's really stupid, you know?
So I picked like the most absurd topics for the day to go over on Tuesday nights. So it's fun.
All right. And y'all be sure to check that out over on HMDS Hold My Dual Shock. Both of you guys were kind of speaking in depth about the three-way like little rivalry. But Peter's not here. Can you let the guys know exactly who Peter is, what he does, and what his whole little get down is?
So Peter's my brother.
I was gonna say this is gonna sound so awful because Peter's not here.
Peter's editing right now. Peter initially, Peter's still on Catch Up Mondays. Peter gets nervous when he has to like talk for prolonged periods, which is like a terrible trait if you're trying to take the lead on these things. So for the first couple months, it was actually Katie and Peter trying to talk. And
not
Peter
gonna lie, homie, those videos are still up there. So y'all want to see Peter? They're old. They're clearly dated, and from the beginning of our channel,
if you
can see Peter talk.
Someone flop sweating for 2 hours, stressing out, staring like vacantly,
with some hard edits because
people like seeing that growth though. So always leave them up, you know.
But and it just turns out like he prefers being
behind the scenes.
able to like chime in when he wants. And so he does like, he handles like the back of house stuff, the comments, all that kind of nonsense, which if you've been on the channel, you know, is often done wrong because Peter's not very good at it, you know, which is why he's in a dungeon. Which is why we rag on him, because everybody makes mistakes, but because he chose that, he has to, we always joke, he has to be better than that. You know?
He a little bit more than most, but yeah. So
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I rock with Peter. Hashtag justice for Peter. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta free him out that basement, man. Literally,
literally on our channel, we have a sticker that says hashtag Peter sucks. So
just the kind of vibe of the whole channel. Just all we do is attack each other personally.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Now, obviously, you guys have plans in terms of like what you're going to be doing going into the future with you guys' platform and all that stuff and internal goals. Is there anything that you can share with people about how you guys are going to be looking to evolve your platform over time as well?
Yeah. So we recently have been evolving. So before we were only doing 2 live streams a week on Mondays and Thursdays, because we do Catch Up Monday and then Fan Rant Thursday. So new year, new channel. So we added multiple streams. So we now do Don't Resist on Tuesdays, which plays on the fact that we blackmail people to come onto our channel. And so we have special guests where we do interviews with one-on-ones. So that's a lot of fun. So that's cool. And we've had some crazy random conversations because it's free flowing of stuff that they're interested in, that we're also interested in. And the conversation just kind of goes wherever.
Well, I think that's the biggest change. So like, we're kind of an open book, you know, we probably should be more strategic, keeping things more close to our chest, but we just kind of pitch it like midstream. We'll just say, hey, but that's kind of like what we're going for, is like a community feel. So
like we just want to be a hangout.
Yeah. And so what happened at the beginning of this year was we actually talked to some of the people that are like our mods for the channel, and they told us like what they liked, what they didn't like, because we kind of were going into it just without a plan. And they're like, no, dude, do more of this type of stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's the stuff we actually kind of like. And so after a whole discussion, we've been kind of not pivoting, but just
they
refocusing.
Wanted us to do more. And
that was the main thing. Is we were like,
we wanted more of you guys, right?
Yeah.
And we had felt bad. We were like, bro, like we're doing 2 live streams a week, and sometimes we're doing a third videos, if we were reviewing something. And they're like, no, it is cool. So we're like, okay, we'll do more.
Well, and on top of that, we have actual jobs. So like we do this on top of that. So it's not like this is our full-time job. And so it's just being able to fit within the time frame that we have, being able to add things that they wanted. So the Don't Resist is really cool too, because we wanted to be able to have more conversations with people, and we didn't have anywhere we could do it. Like we were like, we can't do it on Mondays because Mondays we strictly have just us. And then we couldn't do it on Thursdays because Thursdays is just crazy. And there's multiple people. So it's like impossible to have an actual conversation with someone.
Yeah.
And so Don't Resist was like the solution to that.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the Everything Good and Perfect podcast all night was supposed to be a fun way for us to actually start doing.
It is a fun way.
I mean, it is. Yeah, it is a fun way. Start like coming out of our shell and doing like more crazy, ridiculous, like skits, sketches.
Well,
like
it was because every single time we do a stream, it immediately goes off the rails.
Yes,
we are terrible at like we'll start talking about one thing,
like we'll make plans for stuff and then it just doesn't happen.
Devolves
like
into conspiracy theories.
Like things start falling apart. Like so, the more I plan, the more it goes wrong.
Yeah.
So.
What y'all didn't see was Katie slowly seething behind the thing, being like, "We didn't even get to the second topic," and we talked about. We're like, and basically the mods were like, dude, nobody cares.
They're like,
nobody,
just do more.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming to you guys for topics. Like, I don't know if you guys realize we're like clowns and we're here to laugh at you. We're not like, did you hit all
the topics? Well, I would feel bad because we'd be like, hey, we're gonna do all these topics. And then
you would hit like 3 out
and
of
then
5.
we'd like, so are we not gonna talk about this? And
or people would say, are we gonna talk about, like, sure, and we'd end up talking about that topic.
And so we'll do what you guys want. We're like, y'all want to talk about that? Then we can talk about that.
So yeah.
And so it goes where it goes. Okay.
And I think that's like, yeah, that's the difference is this year, after a year of realizing that that's just how it's always going to be, we're just not fighting it anymore. And so
Yeah.
we're just kind of letting the chips fall where they may. Like even like on Tuesdays, like some of our topics are from the Discord. Like we have people in the Discord suggesting like not even just topics, like
Random
bits,
stuff. Yeah.
like whole like as we do like games and stuff as well. They'll just be suggesting like game show stuff that we do on it.
Oh,
you
we
know?
have a whole section just talking about door dashing. Like,
Yeah.
it's just random. So
Just randomness for randomness sake, right? Man, nah, but it sounds fun, and I can definitely relate to everything that you guys are saying because that was happening to me quite a bit as well when I was doing live streams. At first, I would have like 5 topics, and then you end up on one topic for like an hour, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I can't even get to the rest of this stuff, and you're kind of what do I do? What would I do? But yeah, the chat and the community are usually very forgiving, and they're just here to have a good time. You know,
dude, they're amazing. Yeah, like they're the best part of this entire thing.
Yeah, right. Like, yo, y'all got channel lore and all type of stuff, right? Like,
and we don't even have enough time to like transition the channel lore into videos like we wanted to do.
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, we're
like,
definitely gonna make like a lore video.
Yeah, like there's so much stuff we gotta do, but we just need the time.
It's just there's never enough time. You guys want to talk about for a little bit the community that you guys have been able to kind of cultivate since starting your channel and what that kind of means to you guys?
Yeah. It was pretty sudden because like essentially it was just the 3 of us just in a room talking, and then when we met you guys, the whole syndicate network, it was like overnight we had like all these friends we could talk
had friends.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it sounds so lame, but yeah, like I have friends.
Well, it was lame though because it was the difference of we were having the conversations amongst the 3 of us, but there was always the thing of like we were being told by some of our other friends who's like, yeah, you need to like do it on YouTube so that like you can like a beacon to find other people to talk to. But in the early days, you're like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I turning on a camera to have a conversation?
It's weird.
But lucky enough, like very early on, we had people in the comments, you know, engaging with us. And then once you start meeting other like creators and other YouTube channels, like it was nice because we knew you guys were talking about stuff too. Like, I'm sure people don't understand it, but like it's fun to comment on people's videos. It's always fun to be part of a community when you're actually making videos that those people also will like give
comment
you know,
on, yeah,
mess with you, and it becomes truly like, you know, kind of just shit posting with friends. It's a whole different level. Like when I see like you guys going on and one of you guys is live, like when I catch it, when YouTube decides to let you know, by the way, like,
oh yeah, because that's definitely a thing.
Yeah. Is
I used to actually think that
freaking work, you know?
I used to think that content creators were lying, but no, they're not. Like, they're not.
Like either super late or not at all.
Because that's the thing. You hear people say like, be sure to hit the notification bell because YouTube will not let you know. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
and then we would have stuff. And we'd be like, you know, you meet friends. They're like, oh, I didn't see your live. I'm like, yeah, you know, sure you didn't. Sure you didn't. And then they'd be like, I was live. I'm like, oh no, I legitimately never got a notification. And then when I see it, it's like, oh, they're live. And a lot of times it'll say they're live and it's over.
And it's over. Yeah.
I'm like, what the like what?
Dude, on top of that, the Discord was like, dude, you guys need to start telling us like at least a day ahead of time when you guys are playing to go do lives because it doesn't tell them. And so we would do lives randomly and just go on. And they're like, we didn't even know you guys were live. And I'm like, okay, I feel bad.
But it is kind of the vibe of like if you've ever played music or done anything like that, of seeing your friends play. Like from the outside, you would assume that the only interest people have is when, you know, you're performing. But in actual fact, it's not. It's so fun watching your friends do it, and the more you know about the process, the more you appreciate it. Like you're like, oh man, Sky's live, you know, Leon's doing one of his mythical once in a blue moon stream,
live streams,
you know, like you get excited to see it, you know. And to
then,
catch it, it's like catching an impromptu live show.
Yeah. And then the people in our chat and our community for the Discord are amazing. Like it's crazy because it's like we've never met these people. Yet we have like in-depth conversations, especially like with each new show we do. Like we're doing Severance right now. And so it's like having these crazy schizo conversations about like what's actually going on and then them noticing things that you're not noticing. It's like you're making real connections, relationships, and it's a little bit weird because you're like, I don't know what this person is. Are they real? Like, but
Right.
it's cool.
Yo, I've really struggled with that too. With the, are they really real? I just read some statistic earlier today. I think it was where it said like only 35% of like internet traffic is actually like human,
That's
and like
concerning.
and like 65 is non-human, right? But no, I used to 100% think that a lot of the people in my chat were like bots, and then when I started going to these events and they show up and it's like a flesh and blood person, I was like, what the hell? Like I always tell the story. Chris Brown is in my chat. He was always in my chat. I'm like, man, this is a fake account, Chris Brown. Right? Like it just sounds fake. It sounds fake, right? And then all of a sudden I'm at the Rebel Moon thing. He's like, yo, I'm Chris Brown. I was like, what? I was like, you're an actual person, right? With a family that
That's what I'm
caught the
saying.
train over here, right? Yeah. And you get to meet people and you really put a face to the avatar and to the name, and it's been one of the dopest things that I think that I've been able to do on YouTube for sure. So
100%.
we can't wait till y'all start getting to some of these events, man. Like it has to happen.
Man, we probably gonna get like arrested before we get an event. But no, like I get what
I like
you're
actually
saying.
thought that Andy was banned from California.
Bro,
Yeah.
people say way too much.
That's the thing. People are like,
plays too
like,
much.
yeah, some of them are jokes, some of them are real, and people sometimes I don't.
And that's what I'm saying. Like you're talking about events. We live in a place where like we're like, what are events? Like what?
Yeah, like,
what are
that's
events?
how isolated we
No,
are.
like
Where
for
we are.
real.
Bro.
When you were explaining to me like events, they were like people go to events.
And
Like there's events.
They haven't done like a Comic-Con here in years. Like I think the last Comic-Con I went to here was the last time they did it before COVID. Like they don't do them really anymore.
So yeah, it's a whole new world for us.
Or it's not the same. Yeah.
Like,
but it does. I do like
kind
of like what you're saying. It does feel like you're in like an isolation where every human being has like all their unique interests. You're like a multifaceted person, but nobody knows it, and so you can sit there and spend your days kind of internally working through your favorite movies and but it's not lonely so much as it's like isolated.
It's
and then
fulfilling.
Yeah. And then the second you just kind of put yourself out there, all of a sudden you're immediately engaging with people, whether they like it or not. The topic that you want to talk about. And because the world is huge and the internet's huge, it just kind of infuses a largeness into a hobby or an interest that could feel very small and isolating.
Oh man, yeah. This is definitely a hobby that I think people, especially in my life, some of my friends got it, especially the ones that have known me for a long time because they knew how I was with Zach's films, and like they were like, "Oh my god, like you're finally about to be talking about this shit." Oh yeah, just go over there and go do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so cool, right? But no, but my family members and everything, they watch me, but they're just trying to show support, and they have no idea what we're talking about.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no clue. It's just like, okay, I watched it and I hit the like button, and it's like, hey, thank you.
They're like, good for you. And I'm like,
yeah. I'm like, yo, thank you. That means the world to me, right? But yeah, it is definitely something that it's hard to understand what it's really like unless you do it, right?
Yeah. Especially because I feel like a lot of people kind of downplay it a little bit and think it's like super easy. And I'm like, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into doing this.
Y'all don't just turn the camera on and just go, you know?
Just
Right.
go slow.
It's like even when you do just turn the camera on, whether it's like a review or something,
It's never that easy.
No.
there's always stuff that goes wrong, and you're just constantly reminded, like, it is distinctly harder than just going and meeting up and just having a conversation. Like,
There's expectations.
well, just the process, like, you know, having your microphone on, you know, making sure that people can understand you, like, you'll
Technical
know,
difficulties.
like, you know, you're sitting there having a conversation, someone's like, your audio is terrible, I can't understand. You're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong this time? You know,
Right.
Yeah.
why are you
Oh my
lagging?
God.
Why
Your camera's frozen. I was just
Yep.
about to say that, right? You know?
you've been muted for an hour?
Yeah.
Man, I wonder what my record is for how long that I was on mute.
That must have been like one of the longest, huh?
It was like what, an hour and a half almost? An hour?
It was something like that.
We
That was
legitimately thought
crazy.
you were trolling. We're like, this is hilarious. It's like, there's no way they don't know. There's no
That's
way.
one of the craziest conversations too, and
Bro, the number of comments
y'all will
that were
never
like,
know.
y'all are mute.
That was Stino. I'm telling y'all, I don't check comments when I'm on stream on somebody else's channel. That was Stino's fault, 100%.
So funny.
I actually forgot about that until just now.
Really? I'll never forget that.
As soon as he brought it up and muted for an hour, I was like, why does that sound familiar? I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we've never done that. We found spectacular new ways to fail at this, but, you know, like the dog running underneath the table and yanking out the
power
power
cord.
cord. You know. Yeah, we found
Oh
all
my
of it.
God.
Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
uniquely yours. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had some pretty epic failures on YouTube, right? Man, I remember my first live stream. I had went on Twitter. I had been hyping it up for like days, and then I went and I tried to go live on YouTube, and it wouldn't let me because it said that I had needed 50 followers. Oh yeah, because over here, my channel knows this. I was doing everything on my phone for like 2 years. Probably a little longer than that, right?
Mhm.
And you have to get 50 followers to be able to go live on your phone, right? So I got to the 50 followers, and then I like hyped it up again. I was like, all right, cool. But since it hadn't recognized that I had the 50 followers yet, I couldn't go live. And so I advertised going live for like days on Twitter and Instagram and everything, and they couldn't even do it. You know, man, there's been so many things that has happened that's been crazy, and it's all part of the process, right? It's all learning and growing pains, as I used to say.
That 50 followers thing is kind of weird, though, if you think about it, because so many people will be better positioned just to go start on your phone. It's like the more natural thing. You have your phone, and I get like they probably don't want YouTube to be bogged down with just millions upon millions of people trying it once. But I'm like, if you try it once and it's not for you, like you'll be done, you know. Whereas, you know, a phone is just like the way most people communicate.
It's way more accessible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Our journey over here on YouTube has been crazy. I think that, you know, hearing about you guys starting off with Peter vaping, I had no idea that's was the origin story for you guys' channel.
Now those videos are gone.
I might have to go make. I was about to say I might have to go check those out.
I deleted that.
They were so bad.
I didn't want that connected to the channel at all.
Oh my!
But you can go see the original. Like if you go back like a year, bro, those
just like
videos
that.
are bad.
And I went there and we were talking about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "How'd it go?" And it's good, man. Had some great conversations, and I'm like, "I just watched." What are you talking about? I was watching. I was like the only person watching. You didn't talk for 20 minutes. He goes, "No, surely I talk." We'd be like, fast forward. He goes, "Any minute now, any minute now." And it was hilarious. Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Man, justice for Peter, man. Come on.
We've talked about we're probably going to start gaming again to just like
for funsies.
because we're still gaming, and it's like, man, like in this time there's nothing, because we also are talking about the same topics while we're playing video games. There's nothing to stop us from doing it except the fear that Peter will just become deeply autistic again.
Stop talking.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Man, it's funny that you guys say that because I'm actually in the process now of getting everything set up so that I can stream games over here too. Mostly because I've been playing Marvel Rivals lately, and
Really?
just I've been in a party chat with the homies, and it's too funny.
Mhm.
Like we're just having so much fun, and we're just talking crazy shit, and it's just like, yo, this is what we should be doing. You know,
Yes.
if we're gonna be playing the games anyway, might as well be streaming them. You know, so
100%.
we
It's
Yeah.
super entertaining.
And it's such an icebreaker. Like you can really let your hair down when you're gaming. You know, maybe too much. You gotta be careful. You know,
right.
Sometimes you'll say things, but
right, yeah.
in the heat of gaming.
I really wish that I could have seen those videos, man.
I think we still have them
I'll
on
send
the
you one,
hard drive
okay?
somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hilarious.
I gotta see one of them, man. Peter's the homie. I do not believe he was going out that bad. Not talking
Bro, it
for 20 minutes.
Bad.
Bro, it was bad. Have you ever, and this was another wake-up call, not everybody's fun to watch gaming. Like, Peter is
Come on, man.
a much better gamer than I am. Like, he's better at winning games. Peter is boring to freaking watch. He has there's not that energy. Like, I'm just going to send it, dog. Like, I'm just going to see what happens. Like, people don't want to watch you
strategically
creep around corners, checking drawers for 2 hours. Like, they want to see you do something,
like
you know?
exciting stuff.
Especially if you're not talking. Like, if you're going to just be checking boxes and drawers, you got to have something to say. It can't be like 30 minutes of just rummaging and then yeah. And I was like, Peter, you're so bad at gaming. He goes, no, I'm not great. I win every game I ever play. It's like, yeah, bro, but nobody wants to watch you never make a mistake, dog. Like, you gotta get out there.
You gotta be dying.
Oh man, that is hilarious. My dog just getting into it.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. But that is hilarious. I'm almost shocked that this was the origin story for the platform.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to find it. It's on some hard drive, and I'll send you one of them.
Like, hey, I don't know why y'all put him in that position anyway. Y'all put him in a position to fail.
Bro,
right?
He was the one with the idea. He was so excited. He was like, "Oh, gaming? Yeah, we should definitely do it like that."
Well, he was sitting there being like, "Oh yeah," because he games all the time. He's like, "Yeah, me, just like you." He's like, "Me and my friends, we talk all the time." And I'm like, Peter, I've been in the room with you guys. Y'all don't say shit. What are you talking about? It'd be like, he's like, "What's up behind you?" Yeah. And I'm like, bro, like, I don't think y'all are talking.
Like, no one wants to watch that.
I don't think y'all are talking as much as you think you are. Like, but they would like go all nice. So it's like, yeah, you probably had 30 minutes of conversation out of 8 hours, but you know, that's not a great return.
No, I think you're totally right. And I'm glad because you've given me something to think about before I start streaming games over here.
Well, you're conversational. As long as you don't start vaping, you'll be fine.
You know? Vaping during the stream. That's crazy.
There's nothing as deafening as 20 minutes of silence. Then someone doing something, he's gonna say something, he's gonna say something, and it's like, no, it's the vape pen again.
Yeah. Just him blowing out.
So it's like the man has needs. His mouth works. He's just not using it to talk.
Oh man. Peter, you gotta tighten up, bro. I refuse to believe it, bro. I refuse
We're about
to
start
believe
shoving him in front of the camera again.
it. See?
He's getting away too easy with like, you know, being able to like be like some of the streams I want to be behind the camera messing around, you know, making nonsense, you know.
Chilling and making faces, you know, going like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. Right, man. What do you guys think? Because right now we seem to be in a period of like transition in America, I'd say. What do you guys think the impact of uh whatever's going on at large in the country is going to have on Hollywood, if any change at all?
So, will it be drastic change? Probably not. But there's definitely change that's currently happening. So, perfect example would be like Disney. So, Disney's canceling a bunch of stuff they were planning on making for shows like the I'm gonna butcher this. Okie Okie show.
Okoye.
Okoye. There we go. Okoye. Like they're canceling that. So they clearly originally had the idea that they were going to move forward with that TV show, which I don't know why, but they're not doing that anymore.
You don't want an Okoye TV show with a
no.
with
Do
a t-shirt to
you?
go with it?
Yeah, like no.
That's riveting stuff. It's very necessary to the overall larger MCU for us to get an Okoye.
The storytelling. It's
you know what I'm saying?
It's integral, okay? She has fans, all right.
I completely disagree with Katie, by the way. I think there's going to be phenomenal, huge, grand sweeping changes because I don't even know if Hollywood's going to survive. Like,
that's true.
I don't know. Man, we were just reading, they were talking about the Oscars. Okay. Like you think about like what the Oscars used to mean, the pageantry, the importance of it. And they were saying that they had people coming out, like some of the
multiple, by the way, not like one or two, like 8 different people
saying things like, well, we didn't nominate Dune for Best Picture or whatever, or because we didn't watch it. We didn't watch it. It was just we didn't like the first one, so we didn't watch the second one. And you're like, that's who's voting on films.
I heard somebody say that they didn't vote for Ray Fiennes for Conclave because they thought he won before, and I was like,
yes.
Think about that.
What is multiple that? People?
Okay, so you can't like, and it goes to show it's a participation trophy. It's the significance is not on merit. It's not like, oh, we're celebrating the best of the best. It's at any given point there's something tied socially that they want to highlight, and that's who gets the award. And so
they're like, let's check real quick. How many has he won already?
And it's 0, by the way. Like,
so
Ray
he
Fiennes,
the
guy's a great actor.
He was 0.
And like the people are saying this like one of his best roles, and he didn't even get nominated. Like, or he isn't gonna win it.
He's not gonna win because 2 people said no. 3 people said they didn't vote for him because they're like they assumed he'd won already. Like,
which like
this
what
is what
is
we're
that,
dealing with right now. Like,
but that irrelevance, that
I don't even know how you could even come out and say some shit like that, right? Like it just.
And that's why I think there's about to be grand changes, whether they like it or not, because every single time they turn around and say something like that, the public's like, oh, bro, this glamorous thing. Like, think about 20 years ago, how glamorous Hollywood seemed. And now it's like, bro, most of the like, I don't even really like these people. The whole industry is just kind of dirty, nasty, uninspired.
It's all kind of a sham.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too much into it, but I think that even with the thing with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively is even kind of pointing to that.
Oh my gosh.
I think that in the past they probably would have been able to get away with some stuff like that.
100%.
The Johnny Depp trial. Like, do you constantly want to see
that was the one, man?
These people who you're being told that they're so special, that what they do is so special. And again, they're very, very talented.
Some of them.
But you don't want to see how the sausage is made. And you still have to like these people. They seem to have forgotten that Hollywood is a popularity contest. Like, what's the difference between like a Johnny Depp? Like, do I believe that Johnny Depp is the greatest out of 8 billion people? He's the greatest actor who's ever lived? No, but when you put it all together, people really like seeing him on screen. Until you do things outside that make people question whether or not they want to see you on screen. It's just crazy that they've broadcast all these things that are so inherently off-putting. And he wasn't even really the bad guy in that, It's just,
they both were.
Do you really want to see the glamorous people seem kind of like trailer trash? Like, I don't want to know that,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that things are definitely changing, and I just hope that there seems to be a return to like, hey, can we just make some shit that's gonna make some money, or some things that people are gonna like,
Dude, yeah.
or
Daredevil now, they already greenlit the season 2 and are going to start filming it before season 1 even airs.
I don't know if
Like,
that's going to make money though.
well,
I don't think
it's not.
anything
I'm
on
saying
Disney
like
Plus will make
it's the
money.
fact that they've never done that before. So it's clearly a commitment to the show. They're moving forward with a Punisher show. And I feel like Captain America: Brave New World kind of clarified that like they knew they'd gone too far, so they had to backtrack and do a bunch of reshoots to try and make it palpable for the audience that they knew it wasn't going to fly. So like
Yeah.
there's clearly people who are realizing either they're going to have to change or they can't put out stuff because people won't go watch it.
yeah, right. It is funny because it seems like the power is going back to the consumers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. It was always there, but again, like with anything, like when you release the next iPhone, you get away with a couple iPhones where people are like, I don't know if this is really better than my last iPhone, before you lose the ability to get people to line up for the new iPhone. And that's kind of like what Hollywood's done. They've demystified, they've overpromised and underdelivered for a long time now. And at the same time, every single studio said, hey, if you don't want to go see our films in theaters, we'll also let you stream it like a month after. Because people blame, streaming. It's not that there is streaming, it's that every studio wants to stream.
That has been the problem. If there was only Netflix,
Yep.
I think everything would have been fine.
Yeah,
right?
like Netflix, you can stream. We're going to get our box office. You got to wait your turn. And it's just a nice alternative to video on demand, that they could license. But they didn't do that. And so as soon as you got Disney Plus, Paramount, every single one of them.
Everybody has to have theirs.
Because now you're competing with, are we making a film that's good enough to get you to leave your house? And when you see so many films making their way into theaters that most people would say is like TV or streaming quality, you're like, this wasn't better than when I saw it in theaters. You can only do that so many times before you're like, why am I gonna go to a theater?
Yeah, for a little while, I was only going to go see like the more big budget stuff in theaters, and I was just watching other stuff. I mean, smaller things like let's even say, and not that I didn't see this in theaters because I did, but let's say like a Gone Girl, right? I might have waited until that came on streaming just because it's like, hey, this might be dope, but it didn't warrant me going out of the house. But that's definitely changed now. But it's just that definitely was happening, and I kind of caught myself getting sucked into that, and it was definitely around the time that everybody started having a streaming service. They all wanted to beat Netflix, and I think that they're realizing that they kind of can't now. And it's like they're all kind of in this weird position. Like, okay, do we continue try to grow? Are we gonna bundle everything together? Do you you're seeing a whole bunch of bundle packages now? It's just, hey man, I think that there can be a return to some normalcy, but it's definitely going to involve either them reducing the number of streaming services or still giving these films that theatrical window and just like, hey, that's a quick fix that they can actually do immediately. Oppenheimer didn't go straight to streaming, right? It got its full theatrical run and went to streaming much, much later. And I think that if they continue to do that, they can probably get people to get going to the theaters once more. That and having a return to like a quality first type type thing.
You're right. And like there's certain films, man, you are missing out if you didn't see Dune Part 2 in theaters, You're missing out if you didn't see Oppenheimer in theaters.
Oh my god.
I mean, even Barbie, like with the way it looks, like it was worth seeing in theaters. Top Gun Maverick. Can you imagine if you only ever saw Top Gun Maverick
at home?
At home, like
when I left Top Gun Maverick, because I have a coupe, right? And it literally, like, when I was checking the cars behind me, I felt like I was in the fucking fighter jet. Like,
Yeah.
I left the theater so like on 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, absolutely.
But there was a time I remember seeing like the Hangover films in theater. Like when even
Oh yeah,
that was like it was fun. It was more fun because you had a lot of people in there sharing the experience, laughing.
laughing. Yep.
Which
Dude, Bad Boys 4, oh my god, was so much better in
Yeah.
theaters. Like,
You
just
have, like
because the environment,
yeah,
like,
you got like 50, 100 people laughing versus something that you might have chuckled at in your house or not being paying full attention to. I think that's also a huge thing nobody talks about. In theaters, you can't have your phone in your hand. You can't be on your phone.
Yeah.
How many times when you're watching stuff at your house do you like
get distracted.
the movie's a little bit slow and you check your phone and all of a sudden you've kind of ruined the movie for yourself.
Yeah, no, the theatrical experience can never be duplicated. I think that people can try to downplay it all they want to. I've known people that have said, "Oh my god, it's the same thing." I'm like, man, I will punch you in the face.
It's not the
That's
same.
like saying watching a roller coaster is the same as riding.
Riding.
Writing.
Bro, I watched one of those VR things, dude. It's the exact same thing. It's like, yeah, but you're not feeling it, you know? Like when the music in the theater hits you, when the sound effects hit you, like it's different.
Yeah, Doom Part 2 was crazy. Like with the sound, oh my god.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I loved Dune. Both of them,
Yeah.
I don't want to. Never mind. I'm not even gonna bring that up because I did get to see one movie in IMAX that not a lot of people have gotten to see, and it's pretty fucking amazing. But anyway, I don't want to go there. No, like the theatrical experience is definitely important to you guys. I can tell. How often do you guys try to like be in the theater?
So we go every Thursday, depending on what's coming out.
If there's something out.
Yeah. So we don't like scary movies. So in general, we don't go see scary
Y'all didn't
movies.
see Nosferatu?
No,
We
so
saw that
we
one
saw
in theater, yeah.
Nosferatu.
Okay.
So I mean, like actual like
Like we were
slasher
Vinci
films.
Smile.
Yeah.
Like that's
Or
type
like-
of stuff that if we're gonna watch it, we'll watch it like at home, you know.
or like
It's like
never.
little.
Like
No, like never.
like our audience knows we don't like scary movies, so like they'll like try and con us, and because we do movie nights, to be like, let's watch Terrifier 3. Like I don't like watching scary movies.
Yeah.
I'm easily scared. I'll have nightmares. I'll be up. Like it's awful. So generally, like we watch pretty much everything else. So like we saw Captain America: Brave New World in theaters. I don't think any. Is there anything coming up that's coming out recently? I know Snow White's in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll go see Snow White.
Yeah, so like we'll see that.
Because even if a
Black
film's
Bag's coming up, I definitely want to go see that.
Yeah, even if a film's not good, I don't see. That's the thing that I think has really also hurt the conversation around movies is this weird handling of like, if you don't like it, don't say anything at all. If your opinion is not it's great, don't talk about it.
Yeah, don't watch it. If you don't like it, don't watch it then.
It's like, dude, all times of
I
art,
agree.
you're supposed to discuss it, what you like and don't like. And I'll have just as much fun talking about a film I hate as one I love, as long as people are willing to, and they don't even agree with me. It's like, I just want to work through what I'm thinking and feeling about it. When you tell me the only opinion you're allowed to have is it's a triumph, it's a masterpiece, or it wasn't made for you, like, well, there you go right there. Like, because we used to go see a lot of, it wasn't just us, but like a lot of people used to see films that you didn't like. And they would sit there and be like, yeah, I saw it, and this is my complaint with it. Somewhere in the past, like 5-10 years, I guess it was like Hollywood egos or just the marketing department was like, hey, if we just villainize anybody who's not nice about our films, we can prevent some negative reviews. But it's like one person's like negative review might be the exact reason somebody else wants to go see it.
True.
Like if I say something about I hate about some director, somebody like, I disagree with everything that Andy just said, I'm going to go see it in spite of him. And then like, you know, because there's different people. So it's like if a person you don't like or don't agree with has a different opinion than you, they're telling the film's not good, that actually might be the reason you go see it. Because we all know there are movie reviewers and publications that when they say a movie's trash, we're like, oh, I'm going to go see it.
Yeah, like I know that means it's
like,
good.
Like there's certain people out there, they're like, oh, this film's trash. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's probably gonna be my favorite film of the year, like because this person's an idiot.
Oh yeah. No, there is there definitely has been a lot of changes to the talk surrounding like film and just one of the things that I mean, in addition to what you guys were saying, one of the things that has kind of upset me is just we've taken a lot of the nuance out, and I've seen a lot of like just something is trash or it's a masterpiece, and it's just like,
Yep.
yo, man, there has to be this middle ground. Not everything has to be a masterpiece or something that um fucking moves cinema forward or technology or anything like that. Sometimes it's dope to just be able to go out and go see a movie and have a good time and be entertained for a couple hours. I was wait, what was it? Oh, I was watching Game of Thrones, which I actually never really watched that show, but while I was in the hospital, I saw quite a bit of the first season or two, and I was watching this part where they had these gestures or whoever like acting out some scene, and I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, man, like these like just stories have been part of the human experience
Mm-hmm.
like this entire time, and it feels like film is just the latest um interpretation of that, but it's the same thing, humans telling stories and passing these things down generation by generation. And it's definitely something that I hold dear to me, and I just hope that we can get the theatrical experience back to a healthy enough state, to where we're not like fucking like closing down all these theaters and like screens and stuff like that, right?
That's kind of to piggyback off of that and like Game of Thrones. And you had asked earlier about, directors and inspirations. And we said when you're a kid, you don't really care about who the director is. And then you get older and you realize, oh, it's actually pretty important because they're the ones that bring this vision to life. I almost feel like now it's gone too far where there's like a weird tribalism where before a director ever makes something, it's like you have to like it because and it's like I have directors who are my favorite directors, but I've never lost the ability to be like, hey, I came out of this film and I did not feel the way I feel from the rest of his work. I don't understand why, because you kind of talked about pressure and just in the creative experience. It's weird that when talking about these films, there's like a weird, not from us, but you see a lot of pressure to just like an unhealthy amount of positivity, where you see people almost convince themselves that they like stuff they don't like, or they hate stuff they secretly like, because there's this like weird tribalism. It's I love Ridley Scott, one of my favorite directors. I am not impressed with what the dude's doing. Like I didn't like Gladiator 2. I didn't think it added anything. There's some people who do. I don't see why that conversation is difficult. And someone be like, well, he's a historic director. I'm like, okay.
What does that mean? Like, what does it matter?
Yeah. And in the aggregate, he's a great director. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have some films that I don't like. I just think it's a weird thing,
It, especially seeing as how many films that Ridley Scott makes. Like he's usually out there making movies. He doesn't really spend a lot of time like resting on his laurels. He's usually out there making something. So I mean, you're definitely gonna have things that rate higher on the totem pole, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Well, and like you'll have people say, are you an X fan? Like, are you a fan of this director? I'm like, I like their movies, but I don't like all of their movies. And it's almost like that's not a satisfactory answer. It's like kind of like you talked about that lack of nuance. They almost want to know what team are you on before they engage in a conversation. Yeah. And so if you don't also like the director, they're like, I don't want to hear anything that's going to challenge stuff, which I just think is crazy,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very similar thing to what I kind of operate on when it comes to sports. Like, I'm not too into teams and stuff. I just love all the great players and I hate all the bad ones, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't stand them. If you suck, then you suck. I'm gonna get mad, right? I'm gonna be sitting there yelling at you and not want you on the screen. Like, yeah, I love Zack Snyder's films. I'm a huge Zack Snyder fan. I'm also a big Christopher Nolan fan. Also a big Denis Villeneuve fan. Also a big Michael Bay fan. Right?
But
Yeah.
you would never say
How y'all feel about that?
Yeah, you would never say every Michael Bay film's equal, would you? You
No,
wouldn't sit there and be
absolutely
like,
not.
you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 is just as good as, you know, whatever, you know.
The Rock. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it's crazy.
Like, it's just weird. It's like
There's
you just have
levels.
people be like, Michael Bay did it again, bro. He's my favorite director. Another perfect film. And it's like,
Another
bro,
banger.
you're just
Right.
downplaying like the legitimately great. Like for me with Ridley Scott, when people tell me that they think that Gladiator 2 is the greatest film ever, that it's better than Gladiator 1, I'm like, brother, you're just disrespecting how amazing Gladiator is. You're like, that's just a crazy statement, you know?
It's also impossible.
I heard somebody say Gladiator looked dated, and I was like, what?
I had said, if you
What?
look at the choices they made, like
No.
they use like not dated, but like there are like, you know, certain camera things are kind of defined by a decade. And in that early 2000s, like same with like Jason Bourne, they loved the stutter cam. Like that's how you really showed that things were getting tense, was the frame weight would be like it almost like not slow motion so much as like just missing frames to let you get that disconcerted feel.
Mm,
And it's just, but that's why I think like you have to appreciate films for when they came out. Because
yeah.
that's like, you know, watching a black and
Yeah.
white film, like, bro, this thing doesn't even have any freaking color in it. What's wrong with this thing?
Yeah.
So
Nah.
dated. Like, well, it's
Nah.
a choice
I don't think
that was popular at the time.
when I had heard it, I don't think that that was what they had meant. It was
Mm.
it was like this CG, and I was like, bro, come on now, man. It went like 2000. Like,
That's what I'm
what
saying.
are
That
we
movie's
doing?
old as
You
hell.
know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? I mean,
Which is weird.
it's not the
because-
Scorpion King.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
But even
that
that,
shit
like,
looked terrible when it came out.
Yeah.
oh damn, that's
they'll
bad.
sit there and they'll attack things that are old for not looking new, but they won't complain about new things that look old. Like when you go see Craven the Hunter, you're like, bro, what are you doing?
What are we doing here?
People are like trying to fix, like, there's nothing wrong with the CGI. You guys are haters. Like, bro, are you crazy? Like, that's wild.
Yeah. Man, I didn't see Craven. I'm sorry. I was
missed
done
nothing.
after Venom 3. I said, yo, I'm not. I said, any more of the Spider-Man lists, Spider-Man villain movies, I'm done. I was like, I'm done.
Did you
And
like Venom 3?
I meant it. It was, I had a nice time out and I forgot about it immediately
Yep.
after.
And there you go. Yes.
I think that's I
You
think
know?
that's a fair point, but that's a problem, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of investment going to the theaters for, like, if it's not an experience, like, you should remember experiences, you know?
Yeah. I mean, look, I knew what I was getting into. I gonna lie. After the second one, I was all right. I was like, all right. I already see where this is going. You know, they ruined Carnage for Christ's sake. Like,
Yep.
ruined Carnage, massacred my boy. Right, but man, look, I do want to kind of start wrapping this conversation up though. You guys have been amazing, and thank you for coming on the platform once again. But just kind of like in closing, right? What do you think that the most important thing that you guys bring to the YouTube sphere is when it comes to the conversations that you have and your content?
Mm-hmm.
Probably gonna have a different answer. I would say it's a balance. Like we bring an openness. So like we're not going to kick people out of our chat if they disagree with us. Like we want
agree.
people
I agree.
to have different opinions, bring different things to the table, like explain to us what they dislike or like about the conversation we're having so that we can have an actual conversation. So like I feel like that's probably the biggest thing we bring to this platform is like where else can you go where you're like going to engage with someone who's willing to have a conversation with you and not automatically just be like triggered because you have a different opinion than them.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I hesitate to even say it's like important because the way I kind of look at it as it's like hosting a party at your house. Like it's just how inviting are you trying to be? Anybody could do this. It's more about like what we try not to do. And so like I see a lot of people who do kind of get wrapped up into trying to like make like their channel seem like it's grand, and I think we don't do that. I think we're just there's like no separation between, or we try to have there be no separation between what we're doing on camera and what the chat's doing and whatever. Like it's just they're not mic'd up, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
But
It's
they're
like
definitely
they're the third panelist or fourth
yeah,
panelist if Peter's there, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
Because that's where the best stuff comes from. Like we from day one,
Yeah.
like all the best stuff comes out of the chat. Out of
That's why I don't like kicking trolls out. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
the chats get hilarious and the streams get hilarious when trolls come in the chat. It's the
100%.
best thing ever. I'm like, so why are you gonna kick them out?
And
so,
not that
yeah.
they generally like help us support our arguments in the process.
Exactly.
Or clue us in when we're out of our depth or wrong about stuff. You know, I think that when you see, like, I think that's the difference between like how some people approach YouTube is some people are trying to be like established. You see, like
The
a lot of the,
authority.
like, not for lack of a better word, a lot of the older generation, they're trying to be like, what was like the word? Like not even movie critics, but they're trying to be like Howard Stern, you know, but like thinking that they're the main draw. But I'm like, yeah, people find entertainment in that. But the difference between YouTube and like cable is the community side of it. You can't comment when you're watching TV. You know, you can't. And I think people that forget that the most engaged, at least for me, the most engaging part of a YouTube channel is what happens in the comments.
Yeah. The interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. It used to be people would just yell and shake their fist at the TV.
Yeah. And so now you can yell and shake your fist in the comments section.
And I'll respond. Yeah.
Why I oughta, but this has been dope, and I think that with what you guys do and your content, it's been very fresh and it's very much needed. You guys have a lot of energy that I think that people gravitate towards, and the community that you guys have been able to cultivate over there has been just super dope. And I really noticed that one time that I got in there and Terrace was like doing the lore and shit. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, they have channel lore, where I was like, it was crazy. I had never seen that before. Right. And yeah, I think that things like that just go to show that if people really feel welcome over there on you guys' platform.
That's the goal.
Love it.
You dig. You guys want to let the people know where they can find y'all and what y'all got coming up before we get on out of here?
Yeah. So on YouTube, it's Hold My DualShock. Same thing for Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it.
We have a couple videos coming out because we had
today
told ourselves we were going to do a quick 10-minute video on some of the news that came about this new Superman film, and it quickly turned into like 40 minutes that needs to be drastically edited.
So we just posted a video actually like 2 hours ago, and then we'll probably post another one in like an hour because we were doing a lot. But for live streams we have coming up for Thursday, it's gonna be Fan Rant Thursday, which is always chaotic, kind of off the rails. There's really no direction. I'll throw topics up. Doesn't mean that we're actually going to talk about it in the correct way possible, or that you're going to gain any information from it, but it will be entertaining.
They might not get through any of the topics, you know what I'm saying? Like it could just be
you never know.
A 2-hour stream of consciousness, you know what I'm saying? Right? 100%. But what were you gonna say, Andy?
No, I was just agreeing. Sometimes we don't get through any of the topics.
Yeah. Nah, you guys definitely head on over to Hold My DualShock and give that platform a subscribe and check them out. Smash that like button and notification bell so that you know when they going live and posting a video. Dig. All right. And Syndicate Network gets it in. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming on. This was amazing. This has been one of my favorite conversations on the sit down. You dig? And yeah, y'all. Hopefully we'll see us collaborating again soon in the near future. So you guys have a good one, and we'll get at y'all next time. Peace.
Bye.